What's up, folks? How you doing? It's Mitch from Hard Intentions YouTube channel. We also have hardintentions.com where we sell t-shirts, hats, prints of my art, and I recently got some prints on vinyl canvas. I put it on some 1/8" hardboard, popped them in some frames, and we're going to take them to Arizona and see how they do. And I think we're going to be putting them on our website pretty soon for you guys that like my art. I have some full-size 16 by 20 prints. We're going to go with some 18 by 24s, maybe a blue moon. They're bigger, nicer. Something I've been wanting to do for a long time. So I got with Print Shop and we're getting with that. It's going to come out nice. So I got a question here today. Somebody asked me, does racial stuff spill over into jail? So in other words, if another race commits a felony against a white person, per se, do the whites retaliate? And if the whites do something to another race to the other race, vice versa. And I thought, well, that was pretty good question. And the guy that asked me that, I believe he lives up in Seattle. And so I thought, well, that's a good idea for a video, And he said, because there's a lot of racial tension and whatever over stuff. But in the world that we live in today, everything is race-based. People who have political agendas use race to achieve their political agenda, and I'm getting tired of it. So are a lot of other people. You all saw my video on downtown Hangtown, Placerville. People that come up here from other places, they don't live in Placerville. They're protesting the noose as part of Hangtown's history. Well, it's part of Hangtown's history. That's why they call it Hangtown. It's nothing to do with race. They found criminals guilty and hung them. If they were deserving of being hung. If they weren't, they went off to San Quentin or Folsom, I guess, But that's from the 1850s. So what, 175 years, 170 years? People upset about that. And, hanging was the method of execution for people found guilty of crimes deserving, whether it was military or civilian crimes. They hung them, and hanging them was actually a more humane way of killing someone than electric chair or gas chamber, because they fell through the slot, the rope broke their neck from the weight of their body, and they died immediately. As opposed to being, electrocuted and have your hair burned off your body and all that other crap, or suffocating, right? I mean, the anticipation of hanging, sitting on that trap door might have been a motherfucker, but it wasn't painful. Of course, now they use lethal injections, and there's some debate about whether or not that is humane. Anyway, people are using race, saying they feel offended by the Hangtown logos and all this stuff, so they want it taken away and whatever. It has nothing to do with race, because the noose didn't discriminate. If you were found guilty of a crime deserving of punishment of death, you were hung. So anyway, back to the subject matter: prison, jail. I remember one time when I was in 3B, Downtown County Jail, San Diego, fighting my case. There were some older white guys, and by older I mean 25 to 30. They just turned 18, and they were down on appeals, playing pinochle, and then there's some other guys that've been to prison. They were headed back to prison, and so I was a kid, and so I just kind of kicked back and watched. I let other people run shit because they've been there, done that, and I was on my way. So I wanted to learn. I wasn't always a really stupid kid, So this black guy come in. He was an older man, and so there was Ronnie and Alvin. They were the tank captains. The tank was majority black. So whatever, they ran the tank. They distributed the food, make sure everybody got their shit. Tank captain, assistant tank captain. They got extra food, and they're pretty cool. I remember when I was going to court, man, I'd come back from court, and they'd have like 3 or 4 extra trays waiting on me, because I always came back 6, 7 o'clock at night. And I'd go to their cell, pick up my tray, and they were like in their 30s and 40s. They're old dope fiend black dudes, but they were hogs. Been to the pen, you know, and they'd say, hey, how'd it go today in trial? You know, they'd feed me, give me extra trays. I'd tell them what happened with my case. And I think they just respected me because I was 18 years old fighting a murder that wasn't mine, and so on and so forth. So anyway, this older black man came in the tank. I didn't even notice. And he went in the day room, took a shower. Day room's TV, and next to sidewall there was a shower with a curtain, one-man shower. So this guy was in there showering, and I was in the day room, you know, and Ronnie went up to this black dude. As he pulled the curtain to grab his towel, he's standing there butt naked, and Ronnie fucking took off on him. Ronnie was a big hog, you know. He was a strong dude, big dude, nice as a motherfucker, you know, but piss him off. Anyway, he drilled this dude in the face, knocked him down, and just got on him and was just drilling him. And, you know, got up and kicked him in the head and the ribs. And, you know, he fucked the dude up pretty bad. And I was like, wow. And then there was this big fat white dude, I forgot his name. Kind of, he was all right, but I mean, he had been to prison, and you know, he was, I don't know. Next thing I know, he's beating this black dude up. He's fucking him up. This is on the tier. I go, oh, that's weird. And so I'm not asking no questions. I'm just watching, you know. And then about, you know, they take the dude out of the tank and whatever. So once the guy's gone, the cops are calmed down because this guy got fucked up. The white dudes that came down on appeal jumped on the fat white guy who jumped on the black guy and beat the shit out of him. You know, not too bad. Not as bad as that black dude got beat. They just disciplined him pretty much. And so here's what happened. The black dude came in the tank, the older man. And I say older, he's probably 45, 50. So he was talking to some white dudes. And they said, hey, man, so, you know, what are you in here for? And he said he was in there for molesting a young boy. He got caught with a young boy, like 12 years old. And, you know, obviously this motherfucker didn't know where he was, didn't think he'd done anything wrong, which is the case with these type of people. Mm-hmm. So this kid asked him, so, you know, what was it, like a little white kid? And he said, yeah, he was a little white boy. And all right. So the dude's going to get dealt with severely just because he's a child molester. So the white dudes that came down from the pen, they went and told Ronnie and Alvin, hey, look, this guy's a child molester. And he said he's in here for molesting, you know, a little white kid. And so they said, you know, he's got to go regardless, but, you know, because he was a little white kid, they're like, you know, you guys want to handle it. And if so, you know, give him what he's got coming. And otherwise, we're going to have to do it. And if we do it, you know, it's not good for a white dude to jump on some black dude in the county jail where everyone's fighting cases and everybody's got an attitude and everybody looks for problems because they can't deal with their own problems and so on and so forth. So Ronnie said, okay, we got you, you know. And, you know, like I said, he was going to go regardless who did it. And, you know, a lot of dudes will say, oh, them black dudes don't care about sex crimes. And that might be the case in some cases, and that might be the case for all races. But in this case, they did care. And they went in the day room. Ronnie fucked that dude up severely. And then the fat dude fucked him up. So, you know, the rest of that story, right? So you know, Ronnie went to the white dudes and said, hey, man, I was supposed to do that. You guys are supposed to stay out of it. And they're like, hey, sorry, we got you. This dude wasn't in the loop. He had just heard that the guy was a child molester and molested some little white kid. So he got a double ass whooping. But that dude got disciplined by them white dudes that came down from prison And you know, I'm bad with names. That was 1979. That's why he got disciplined, and they fucked him up pretty good. They 2-on-1'd him, but they didn't get rid of him. They don't do what they call now a removal. They just fucked him up. And then they told him, "Hey, dummy, you know, we hooked that up. We took care of that. You should have just minded your own, you know." So, and that wasn't a case of, you know, he did something to a white kid. It was he's a child molester. The victim happened to be white, but you know, so if you guys don't want to get rid of him, we would enjoy doing it, but it would cause a problem, you know. Other people don't know what's going on. They're going to think there's a racial, you know, riot going on, and so you know, so they took care of it. Um, but you know, that wasn't because his victim was white. It was because he was a child molester piece of shit, and he had to go. And like I said, the whites would have thoroughly enjoyed getting rid of him. They probably would have got stabbed with bed spring knives if we would have done it. But the blacks wanted him out too, you know, because he was a fucking child molester. So that's one thing of like that. But you know, I remember when I was in prison, there was a guy who was in Preston right before me. When I got to Preston, he had just left Preston less than a year, and he went to the streets. He was also in the movie called The Jericho Mile. For those of you guys from Los Angeles, might know who he is. I don't want to say his name, but I was in Preston with his crime partner, and I was actually in Nellis with his crime partner, and he told me about the crime. And then when we got to Preston, this guy got fucked up, but went to PC. So what happened was this guy picks him up. They're cruising around. He's like, "Hey, let's go shoot some black folks," right? So this is how the story goes. I don't know how, you know, this is what his crime partner told me. And so they cruised up to like a skating ring or some shit, popped the trunk of the car. Guy pulled out some weapons, shot at some black people. He might have shot some of them. I don't think he killed them. Hopped in the car, drove off. I heard he shot like 3 black dudes. Yeah, it's kind of random, stupid, fucked up shit, right? I'm a firm believer if you got an enemy, doesn't matter who it is, take it to them. But random victims, just because, whatever. Anyway, that's what they did. And so the guy, his crime partner was in Preston, and now he was going to Preston, and his crime partner, who was in Preston, went to prison, and he was in the Jericho Mile, and now I'm in. He went to Folsom, and I was on the bus to Preston from Norwalk with this guy, which is a reception center, and we got there, and I was on kind of a tough guy unit, whatever, and so I go, "Hey, do you know so and so?" They go, "Yeah, he was just here like about a year ago, whatever, you know." And so I go, "Well, that's his crime partner over there, you know," and they you know, turned out he ratted on the guy that went to Folsom, which makes perfect sense because one guy went to Folsom and one guy went to Youth Authority. And this guy was like 23 years old. So they went and fucked that dude up for ratting on the guy that had been in Preston prior to this. So this guy goes to Folsom. He's in the Jericho Mile. He's blasted with racial tattoos. And as far as I know, nothing ever happened to him. No one ever targeted him. He was just, you know, I heard he's a pretty good dude, you know, which is, you know, and in prison, I seen probably 2/3 of the guys that I was in Preston with, I met in prison. They ended up coming to prison. It was just a training ground to go to prison. It was just, you heard that book called The Hate Factory. Well, Youth Authority is the hate factory. So anyway, this same dude, story gets kind of deeper. There was a black dude in Oakland called the Zebra Killer. And I asked, well, you know, why they call this dude the Zebra Killer? He was in the hole, and then he went off to some other, whatever, weak prison. They said because his victims had to be, this dude hooked up with someone. Okay, I heard there's two of them, but this dude they called the Zebra Killer. So he's a black dude from Oakland, and somebody, he hooked up with someone like, hey, you want to join our organization? Now, what organization it was supposed to be, I don't know. And so there was a method to, he had to kill people, and I heard he killed a couple in a movie theater or something. He had to kill like a white person and maybe a black person. But he had to kill a certain race of people, and he had to kill so many, like kill one today, then two, then three, or it was really weird sounding thing. They called him the Zebra Killer. And of course, when he went to prison, he joined a religious organization that's predominantly black, and I think he did that for protection. He had crimes against white people solely because they were white. And so this guy that had the crime from Los Angeles, who actually did the same thing in reverse to what this guy, he stabbed the Zebra Killer. And I heard he didn't do a very good job. The guy was sitting up in the gurney grinning because he knew that now he had been stabbed. He had a high profile case. He was going to go to a weaker prison, and he knew he was lucky. And I heard one guy that ended up PCing up and for whatever reason and dying in prison on a PC yard. He yelled out, he said, "Motherfucker, that was mine. That was mine." He was mad because this dude stabbed this high profile target and didn't hurt him very badly. And this other guy wanted to kill him. And this other guy had killed people in the past, and he was a killer. So he probably would have killed, guys like that wait until they have the right time, the right moment, the right place, so they can inflict as much damage and possibly kill people. And he was mad. He was like, yeah, that was mine. That was mine, But so that dude was stabbed because he had a very high profile case against white people, and he was black. And I don't think in prison that at that time there was tension amongst the blacks and whites. And soon after that, I think there was a riot, or not even a riot, just like a move that put an end to the black-white problems. If it would have been 5 years later, the blacks probably would have stabbed him just in the name of, he's a fucked up dude and why cause problems over a fucked up dude, and of course me, when all that shit's going on, that type of stuff, I just kind of lay back in the cut with my friends and watch and see who's going to raise their fucking hand, who's going to run their mouth. Because the guy who runs his mouth, like, yeah, that motherfucker needs to be stabbed. He's the guy who's going to get a knife dropped in his hand and say, hey, go handle that, tough guy. So I just lay back in the cut and watch. I don't like certain shit, and I may have done some things here and there to people over the years. But usually if it doesn't involve my friends, my close friends, or my homeboys, or if it's not an issue for like a racial problem that's going to affect everybody, I usually just like, fuck it. I go about my business because somebody's going to handle it. And especially when I got older, I was of the opinion like, hey, I handled shit when I was young. And if it comes to me, I'm going to fucking deal with it. If not, whatever. Yeah, so those are, some shit like that I remember there. Those things, yeah. Race problems are like this dummy says, violence gets the prison locked down and that's bad for business. That is true. But violence, interracial violence isn't just bad for business, because like me, I would sell a little dope, snort crank, sell a bit, smoke weed, drink. But if we got locked down, my biggest bitch was, you know, fuck it. The food's going to get worse and I'm going to run out of coffee and cigarettes, and where am I going to get some art supplies and that kind of shit. That, you know, I didn't really care about the dope, because dope comes and goes in prison, you know, and gives you a chance to dry out and get healthy. But nobody likes lockdowns because they can't see their families. You know, they can't make phone calls. Mail slows down because the cops are out serving chow and doing all that shit. So, you know, it just, interracial violence is bad for business, and not just business and making money, but business of daily life. Um, you know, no one likes to get a tray with half the portions of food that you normally get in a chow hall, because the cops are making the trays and they don't like doing it. And they're like, you know, these assholes got this coming because we fucked up their program. So they fuck up our program by giving us a shitty issue of chow, you know, and if they have to cook it, they do a piss poor job of cooking it. So you're getting shitty chow. You run out of coffee. Then if you got to reserve like tea bags, you run out of that. And then you're on state issue. You run out of toothpaste, soap. It sucks. Nobody likes that, you know. So interracial violence is not just, regardless of what people think, it's not something that is just prevalent. You know, it happens, but nobody likes it, so they try to prevent it. Even in level 4 prisons, where everybody has a, you know, an attitude and a mentality of, you know, I'm in the level 4 tough guy killer pin, so I got to act like it. No, still nobody likes that shit. It does happen though. It's usually over business. It's not over because some guy had a crime against another race. Uh, you know, uh, yeah, I mean, unless a person had a really high profile case, and I didn't really know a lot of those that had high profile interracial cases. Violence amongst, uh, you know, against other races, it's pretty uncommon over someone's crime. So I mean, there's that answers that question. Um, and of course, now guys have gotten out of shoe. Guys are getting along a little better, from what I understand. But on the other hand, if you fuck up, punishment is severe. So here's the deal. You know, you guys have heard me say it in my lives. We're all Americans, all races, all religions, you know, ethnic backgrounds, whatever. We live here in this country. We should all respect each other and just live, dude, and help each other live right. And that goes for guys in prison. You know, prison's a fucked up place, man. So yeah, everybody sticks to their own in there. But the bottom line is, you can also respect the next man no matter what the fuck he is. And if we can do that in prison, why can't people do it out here? You know, respect people for what they are and who they are and what they believe, man. A difference of opinion is what this country's made of, you know. Freedom of choice, freedom of religion, freedom to assemble, freedom of speech. That's what this country's about. And you know, just because you're of a different opinion than mine, like if you ride motorcycles, we have something in common. If I see you stranded somewhere, I might help you, and I don't give a fuck who you voted for. Um, that's the way it should be, man. Treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated. It's biblical. So we're going to Arizona. I'm going to wrap this up. Whatever it is you do out there, folks, do it hard, always. And get a chance, check out our website. We appreciate the support 100%. It means a lot to us. And I want to thank all our members from the bottom of my heart, all our subs, all our Patreon people. Just thank you for the support, the kind words of encouragement. We dig it, man. And we're going to keep pressing forward as long as we got something to say worth hearing. Take care of yourselves. Do it hard.